Here are 10 things we think you should be thinking about before you buy your first buy-to-let property.
Most people don't know how many things there are to consider when buying your first property. There's quite a few, and these are just 10. There could be more, which we'll cover in later videos, but let's get cracking with these really important subjects.
Your goals. So we've said before, and we'll probably say it 1,000 times, but what's really important is that you're always thinking about what your goals are, what you actually want to achieve in property, why you're investing in the first place. So that could be because you're planning for your retirement. It could be because you're looking to leave a legacy for your children. It could be because you're looking for capital growth. It could be because you want an income. Whatever your goals are, make sure you've thought long and hard about them, and does this property investment opportunity that's in front of you right now stack up with what you actually want to achieve? If it doesn't, then it's probably just the next thing that the estate agents put in front of you.
So the next thing will be financing the property. So this is going to be deciding whether you need to find a 20 or 25% deposit. Typically you need to find at least 20%, and whether you're going to finance it using a mortgage or whether it's going to be with cash only. Then once you've done that, you're going to need to work out your stamp duty. Currently in England, if you have a second property, so if you already own your own home and you need to buy, or you're looking to buy an investment property, you'll need to factor in an additional 3% stamp duty. And then of course there's legals, so solicitors fees, valuation fees, and all that kind of stuff will add up. So you need to just factor that in and add that into your spreadsheet.
Once you've got the finances sorted, Mark and I really recommend that you use a really good mortgage broker. Okay, so I would use a specialist mortgage broker in buy-to-let in the investment world, not the same mortgage broker that you used maybe 7 years ago to buy the house that you live in today. Mortgage brokers are worth their weight in gold. They will be able to give you great advice on what's right for you. And you know, the market changes a lot. They'll be able to walk you through your affordability and certain products that will be suitable and that you'll be able to apply for, and certain ones that you won't. So make sure you have a really good mortgage broker on your power team. Once you've spoken to your mortgage broker, make sure that the investment is going to be affordable for you. So that goes beyond just being able to afford the mortgage interest that you are about to take out when you buy the property. You need to be stress testing the mortgage and the whole investment at various interest levels. So currently, having spoken to my mortgage broker, 6% is a typical sort of rate for a 5-year fixed buy-to-let mortgage product. Not that long ago, it was only 3 or 4%. So stress testing your affordability level at not only the pay rate today, but at pay rate plus 2%, but at pay rate plus 4%. So maybe you want to test at 8, 9, or even 10% to make sure you can still afford the monthly repayments is a really, really good idea.
So how about sourcing the property? Well, fortunately, these days we're blessed with the likes of Rightmove, Zoopla on the market, and a whole load of other portals where you can actually search for your properties. Now, it's a really good idea to get really in depth with particularly Rightmove and find out how it works. There's fantastic tools in there where you can set up alerts where every day it can send you information about what properties are coming up on the market. The next step, once you've done that, is to then contact your local estate agents where you're going to be investing. Have a chat with them, get viewings booked, and more importantly, get plenty of properties on the list to actually see. What you're trying to do here is to build up a good relationship with the agents so that they really understand what you're looking for, and that they can show you lots of properties and they will help you to find the best deal.
So as Mark's just explained, Rightmove, Zoopla on the market, these kind of property portals, and also relationships with estate agents are really important in sourcing a deal. Also, use them to assess the fundamentals and rental demand of your investment. So Rightmove, Zoopla, these portals have great information on nearby hospitals, schools. They give you number of population data, and if you speak to the estate agent, quite often those estate agents also have letting agent arms, and they'll be able to tell you which properties are in demand. Do they want 2 beds, 3 beds? Is it city centre flats that people want more than anything, or is it 4-bed houses on the outskirts of a city? Also, the rental pages on Zoopla, Rightmove, they will tell you what people are renting these properties for, as well as the letting agents as well. They'll be able to tell you that, and that'll help you stack up the investment, see if it stacks. Buying in a limited company or buying in your own name. So it's really important that you understand the difference between the two. So a limited company is a separate legal entity to yourself. So there's the limited company that you own, which owns the property, or you can buy the property directly in your own names. Now there's huge tax consequences of one or the other, and you may have heard of Section 24, which also is known as the George Osborne tax, which is not a very landlord-friendly tax, but it's made it difficult for tax reasons to buy property in your own name, where you're not able to offset the you're not able to offset the interest on your mortgage against your rental income anymore if you own property in your own name. However, the differences between the two go well beyond just Section 24. There are other taxes that are relevant as well. And also there are differences in mortgage availability and also in the mortgage rates that you sometimes have between a limited company and your own name as well. So lots to consider. It makes sense to speak to a professional tax accountant to get more advice, as well as your mortgage broker on that point.
So sometimes when you buy a property, you've got hidden costs. Well, what sort of costs do you mean by that? Well, we're talking about things like selective licensing in certain areas. Certainly as far as HMOs are concerned, you're going to need to have a licence if you have a house in multiple occupation. However, in some council areas, you even have to have a licence for renting out just a single let. And I believe in Wales, you have to have a licence. There is a select licensing for the whole of the area. So do check your local authorities to whether you have to pay those. Then with leasehold properties, you have things like ground rents and also service charges, which often are not advertised on Rightmove, so it's well worth checking with the agent about what other costs could be involved in that particular property. So the next thing, once you've got your property, you're going to be wondering about when you rent it out, are you going to use an agent or are you going to self-manage? Personally, I self-manage, but you need to factor in the amount of time this is going to take you and how involved you want to be in your portfolio. So if you want to be a bit more hands-off, go for management. But if you are going to manage yourself, you need to make sure you're compliant and you're up to date with all the regulations around how you rent. So how's it for you, Neil, when you are using an agent?
Yeah, I use an agent because my properties are an hour's drive away, which is close enough that I can get to them, but also too far away for my preference to do viewings, for example. So using an agent's great because they can do all the viewings for me and it keeps it as passive as possible because I wanted to build a passive portfolio. I also use an agent to make sure that I can pretty much outsource a lot of the compliance whilst I'm still responsible for making sure that the compliance is there. I know that someone else is going to actually get the doing done for me on my behalf.
And of course, there's also the option of doing a bit of hybrid of both, right? So you can basically use an agent to find you a tenant and to check them in and do all the referencing, and then you can manage from there on in. So there are quite a few options in terms of how you can manage your deals. So the last point in this series is going to be talking about emotion. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, often when you go around and you're looking for your own property, you can fall in love with the kitchen, you can fall in love with the garden or even the bathroom. But at the end of the day, when you're buying properties for investment, you need to be looking at the numbers and all the details around that investment to see what's going to stack and whether it's in line with your goals is the most important thing. So don't buy with your heart, buy with your brain. So when you go around and you do viewings, yes, look at lots of properties, but if it really doesn't stack and it isn't aligned with things, then it's probably best to move on to the next one. You can always say no, and you can always come back and look at other stuff just to find the right things that are going to be suitable for your investment targets. So guys, we really hope that you found this useful. Just 10 things. Obviously there's loads more and we hope to bring you loads more in the future, but we reckon these 10 things are pretty fundamental, things that you should look at before you buy your first property. So if you have found it useful, please let us know either in the comments or drop us an email, and we hope that you found it insightful.